Hello, I'm just doing a quick tutorial. I haven't actually tried this. Well, I've tried it so far, but I haven't tried it all the way at all. So I'm just going to do it as I'm filming and see what happens. So I've got my extruder, and the piece I want is this one with the 1 center hole and the 6 round. So I'm just going to add that to my extruder. I've got about this much in a roll. And I'm just going to use it and push it through now. This is scrap clay. It's about 50% pearl, 50% black, just because it is. I mean, I'd be using it if it was just black, but I happen to have it. Okay, so I'm just going to put this through the extruder. Okay, so it's done. So I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces, so I've got plenty of pieces. I want to make sure they're at least about 3 inches each. Sure. Just going to cut that there, and there, and they're plenty big enough then. Right, so now I'm just going to get myself somewhere where I can do the work on, so I'm going to use a tile. I'm just going to move all these. I did use a different clay when I did. This is how far I got practicing. So you can see with that one. Obviously that's nowhere near finished, but I did use a different clay and it was solid. So I have got some Cernit in this, so I'm a bit dubious how it'll go, but I'm going to try it anyway. So I want 6 of these going this way. And I want them quite close together, and I also want them to be a bit wobbly. I do not want them to be all straight. Okay, so I want them to be sort of organic wobbly, as this one is here, if you can see it. I actually got this idea from a necklace I bought on holiday. It was made in Santorini, so it just inspired me to have a go. So got 6 that way. That's not bad. That's fitting better than I thought it would. So I was only going to do 5 one way and 6 the other, but I think now, if this stays okay, and you can keep moving them around until you're happy with them. So I'm just laying these gently. Oh, let go of my hand. Just get the wet one. Let me get a wet one. Just make my hands a little bit damp, and then they'll release easier. If they're not wobbly now, I'm going to wobble them up a bit, if that makes sense. So okay, so it's a rough guide, and now I'm just going to cut them off roughly the same length. Do the same the other side, just to get a basic pattern. And then I'll bend the ends so they're not all straight. Right. Take a bit more off that one. And then I'll bring that one in a bit. Okay, so now just take some more off there. Okay, so I think that'll round about do. So I just want to mess them up a bit. And I can tidy up the ends of these at any point once it's cooked. I can play around with them and sand them a bit maybe. Okay, so I'm just bending the odd bits in so it doesn't look perfect. And then I'm just going to get my trusty old kitchen sponge with this silver stuff on the top, and then I'm going to use that to press down on it. I'm not applying too much pressure because I don't want to squash it, but I do want it to hold. There we go. So now I can play around with it until I'm happy. This is squashed right up there, so I have to sort that. So you can kind of just play around with it till you're happy. So I should do that off screen and then come back to you for the next bit as soon as I'm happy with this and I can show it you. So just letting you know with the other bits, I thought, well, I might as well do a second piece. So I'm just showing you on the corners, I'm just going into the corners, so I'm sort of squashing them in. And then once I've done that, there won't be any sort of sharp looking edges then, which is nice. And then each one, I think, oh, that one can go that way, that can go that way, until I'm happy with it all. So I was just letting you know, this one's the experiment, but don't tell it. So I'm going to practice on that one, and what I like I'll put on that one, probably. Okay, so before I put them in the oven, I'm jumping all around here because I haven't planned it in any way. I've decided to do that one for now with a copper mica, just catching the top where I use this. And then with this one, exactly the same, but I'm going to be brave and go for a purple mica and see. Sometimes it can look really tacky, can it, when you use these colours as the main thing? So a bit dubious, but I do love this shade of purple. Okay, so when I've done this, these will go into the oven, and then we'll be able to do part 2, because you really need to set this first. Try and get in, but even if it's just a little bit, in the crevices so it's not just on the top. But obviously you only want to cover the top so it keeps that pattern. I can show you. Can you see there's a pattern on it? Okay, so I'm just going to put these in the oven and then I should be back. So while they're in the oven, I'm just going to put together very small sort of flower petals, just 3 or 4. So what I've done is I've rolled out a number 3 in pearl purple, sewn it, and then I've just used this small cutter here, and I've cut out quite a few of these teardrop shapes. So I'll just show you roughly what I've done, just how I do it. So I'm going to start off by spreading it out a little bit in my palm. A tip is have a wet one close by so you can keep using it, and then it doesn't tend to stick. So once I've made it as big as I think I can, then I'm just going to start pushing it out, stretching the leaves out from the centre out each way. I don't know how clear you can see it because I'm having to do it from above. Okay, so that's sort of how it is, and then I'll put it down there. So if you feel comfortable, you can start off wrapping it around a cocktail stick just to make it, but I just prefer to just hold it. It's just how I like to do it. So my first one, I'm just going to roll it very gently, and when I get to about 2/3, I'm going to add another one in, and then I'm going to continue rolling until I get to about 2/3 of that one. But it's handy to have a small bowl tool close by so you can try and have a say in what's going on, because you know how soon it likes to stick. And I don't want this to be very big. It's not like a whole flower, it's just sort of just a few petals, just to give it something. So I just thought this little flower is on the one that I'm inspired by in metal, so I thought I'd try and do similar. So I'll just keep adding. This will probably be the last one, I think, because I only want it to be very fine rather than any particular real flower. It's just just to finish it off. That one's gone on a bit high, so I'm going to take that one off. Grab another one. Hopefully. Yeah, in fact, the one that I'm inspired by, which if I had it here now I could show you, but I don't. It's more like just a metallic, rosy, sort of like that. So I've just made this now. I'm just going to edge it out anywhere I think it needs it, just to try to manipulate it. And then all I'm going to do is cut it right up here. And I've got the piece ready to go onto the pendant when it comes out. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the copper one. Okay, so they're out the oven. I'm just going to use one, so that one can go to the side. I'm just going to do this one on screen. But what I did want to show you was I just cut out a small circle on number 3 as well to place the flower on. So just try and make sure it gets, if you use your finest ball, you should be able to get between the petals to just give it a little gentle push. Okay, so I'll move that out of the way now, because that'll be going over there. Okay, so the next thing I need is liquid clay. So, oh, I don't need that. So I'm going to work out which is the top. And I think the top is going to be here. That seems the best one for me. I'm just thinking about putting in the cord or chain. So I'm looking for the biggest, best hole. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply a little bit, just a little bit of clay before I put the flower down, because there are gaps here. Now I'm going to aim, where am I going to put the flower? Right, it's going to go round about here. Okay, so just to embed, make sure it embeds where the holes are, I'm just going to add a little bit of clay, just a couple of little balls. And then I'll just add a little bit more liquid clay. Let me just flatten that down a bit more. And then I'm just going to pick this up. Before I do, I just want to make sure it's all pushed down properly. I'm going to pick this up and add some more liquid clay just to the base of this flower. And then I shall apply it here. Then it's going to go back in the oven, and then that will be the last bake. So it's just 2 bakes in all. And once this is on here, I can then start to see how I want it and see if it needs any manipulation. And I want to make it a little bit, that one petal's just a little bit wide looking, and I want to see if there's anything I can do to change that. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to do that with the other one as well, put them back in the oven, and then I should be back. Hi, so it's out. So I've got some, you can use acrylic ink, some sort of wax, whatever you want. It's just for edging. I've got some Liquitex in iridescent bright silver Liquitex acrylic ink. So that's what I'm going to use here. And all I'm going to do, like I've done here with this one, is I'm just sort of edging the flower, so it just gives it a shimmer. I've also done one layer of matte varnish on the back because they need to obviously be quite tough. So I've done one, and I should go back and do another layer just to reinforce them a little bit. They are quite thick actually, because they come from the extruder. They're not that thin at all. They're thicker than they look. But I still want to, I'm debating whether to resin this on the front, but it's going to be a right pain to do, so I haven't decided yet. It'd either be resin or varnish. So I'm just edging it. I don't know whether to go around the edges or whether to do anything at all, but I think it would be quite nice to have a silver edging on it. Let's see what happens. I'm going to dab rather than rub. I just think it needs something. So I'm just going to do that all round. Okay, so I finished the project. I ended up adding a little bit more of that silver, but just dry brushing on the inside of the sort of basket weave. And then I also got a silver Deca pen, just went around the edges of it. They've both ended up being varnished front and back a couple of times, just to make them more sturdy. Don't know if you can see there the holes by putting it over my skin, but I imagine it looked quite nice with a tan. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Just a bit of fun.